Hey, so this is my tray exercise. If I owned any of the trays, I would have a large one here for the top of the slope and a sort of tray to collect my cylinders at the bottom. So I've fully ripped this off of a lecture that I've seen online, and I will post the link in on the video so you can see it for yourself. But basically it's to break some misconceptions of what you might even have. I definitely had when I watched this the first time about the speed at what cylinders would roll down a slope. Now obviously I've got a couple of different materials. I've got different sizes, some that are hollow, and it's just to sort of see what you would think would happen and what actually does happen. So I'm going to start with two materials, got nylon and aluminium. This weighs about twice the amount. They're very similar diameter and they're about the same length. Now they're both solid all the way through. On the most part, there's a little chip out of this one, but we would assume or maybe that the one with the greater mass would roll down the slope fastest, because I think that's what our idea of how this works is. So we'll test this as the first one, okay, and we'll see what will happen in terms of it rolling. Okay, now I would argue that was pretty much exactly the same. It was a little bit faster, but because this isn't perfectly smooth, we're going to see some errors there. So we've sort of disproved what I believed at first, and hopefully you were the same, that mass has an impact on how fast a cylinder would roll down the slope. So now we've disproved that, we'll look at circumference, for instance. So we'll look at this one and this one. They're very different circumferences. They're also different lengths. So let's do that. So we'll see. What would you assume? When I first did this, I would assume that if it had a larger circumference, it would roll faster. So we'll have a guess. Some people might think the other one. Let's have a look, see what happens. Okay, so the smaller one went faster, but that's an error to do with the board. So we'll try it again, see if it does the same thing. We'll try this one. They should be the same. And that time it was the same. So again, it's just a bit of an error with the board. So we've now proved that, again, circumference and length of the cylinder has no bearing on how fast it actually rolls down a slope. Now for the last one, we're going to look at a hollow tube. So I've got these two, which are made out of the same material, quite similar in circumference. So we might say, again, they'll do exactly the same. We've looked, circumference doesn't matter, length doesn't matter, material doesn't matter, mass doesn't matter. So now we'll roll these two and we'll see what happens. We should, fingers crossed, see a notable difference this time. So again, the hollow cylinder was much slower. Let's roll one more time, see what happens. Again, it was slower. Now, there is a very complicated way of telling you why this happens, and if I'm honest, I don't fully understand, but the bit that I do get, which again is on the video if you want to watch, is because this is a hollow cylinder, the mass is around the outside of the cylinder rather than running all the way through. So when the mass is rotating around, it requires more kinetic energy to get it from point A to point B rather than all that mass on the solid one rotating because it's closer to the centre of mass or further away from the centre of mass. Anyway, I hope that broke your misconceptions on moment of inertia as well as cylinders rolling in my kitchen, and I hope you found it informative. Again, I will put the link to the video. Thank you.